Hi everyone, it's Alia or Cake Legend and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be decorating this really cute October autumn themed buttercream cake. I did post an ASMR video of me decorating this cake a couple days ago, so be sure to watch that if you haven't already. But now you guys get the tutorial where I'm actually talking about what I'm doing. And we're going to start by dyeing some of our buttercream orange. I'm using American buttercream. If you'd like the recipe, you can find it in the top right hand corner. And for the first shade, it was just a basic light orange. The second shade I did was a little more darker, so I did the orange coloring and I added some brown this time because I wanted to do a bit of an ombre effect. After that was all mixed up, it was time to mask the cake. I already had mine stacked and crumb coated and ready to go. And if you're not sure how to do that, you can find another tutorial in the top right hand corner. So using my large offset spatula and my bench scraper, I just started masking my cake how I normally would, starting with the lighter shade of orange on top, and when I got halfway down the side of the cake, I switched over to the darker shade. And I made sure to do a smooth finish on the sides and top of the cake for the rest of the decoration. Now that my cake was all masked, it was time to pipe the pumpkins on the side of the cake. So I put some white buttercream into a piping bag fitted with a Wilton number 17 tip, which is just like a small star tip that you would use for the border of a cake. And I started drawing these little pumpkins on the sides. I started with the outline, which was two lines kind of curving into each other, almost like a heart shape. And then I just filled it in with more lines of buttercream. And I also made sure to do different sizes as I went around the sides of the cake. I didn't want to fill in all the gaps though, because after this I did some more pumpkins in another shade of orange. I was also decorating this cake at home, which I hardly ever do anymore, so I went back to those ways of a home baker where you're always trying to use up every little scrap. So I took that extra orange buttercream that we had from masking the cake and I dyed it this brighter, more vibrant shade of orange to make my orange pumpkins. Normally, when I would make cake decorating tutorials at work, if I had any extra colors of buttercream, they could easily just be used up the next day when we mix our buttercream flavors for our cupcakes or any other cake that needs to be decorated. So I would never worry about dyeing too much buttercream. But when you do things at home, it's totally different because you don't have just so much buttercream and you want to make sure you're not doing too much because you don't want to run out. Running out means you have to go back and make more buttercream, which takes forever. Now I'm dyeing some more buttercream, this bright red color, to make our leaf decoration. I threw it into a piping bag with Wilton's tip number 352, which is just the classic leaf tip, and then I started piping these little leaves all around my pumpkins at the bottom. But I didn't want to do too many because I was also going to do 2 more different colors of leaves. But this step is very easy. I'm just piping different sized leaves at different angles all around the pumpkins and the cake board, so it kind of looks like they're falling down onto the ground. When I was done with the sides of the cake, I did some more leaves on the top edge. Again, making sure I'm not doing too many because I had more leaves to come. The next color I did was yellow, and I actually threw the yellow buttercream straight into the same piping bag that I had the red buttercream in, so that you kind of got this effect where you have both colors, like it looks like the leaves are changing colors like they actually do in nature. And it also kind of brings in the orange tone without actually having to do orange leaves. Once I was done with the yellow buttercream, I mixed up this green that was kind of like a muted, sagey-ish tone. And again, I was using the same piping bag, so we get a little bit of those colors in there, and just repeating the same process around the sides of the cake and then the top. And for the green, I didn't want to do too many because they kind of pop out at you, and I didn't want it to take away from the rest of the decoration. So I did very few green leaves. Now that we're done with the leaves, I grabbed this Wilton number 3 round tip and some brown buttercream so that I could make the little stems for my pumpkins. And piping these was super simple. I just did 2 little lines on top of each pumpkin because I felt like one just looked a little too empty, I guess. So yeah, 2 little lines of brown buttercream on top of each pumpkin. Then I wanted to add a little bit of brown to the top as well, so I just piped these little dots of buttercream around in the leaves. After that, I mixed up some black buttercream and grabbed Wilton's number 1 piping tip, which is a super tiny round tip, and I started drawing these little bats on the sides of the cake. I just had a picture of a little like bat silhouette on my phone, which you can't see, but it was on the table, and I was just copying that. So feel free to do whatever kind of bats you want. Even if you have a fondant bat punch, you could use that if you want them to look super clean and perfect. But I just drew this really simple outline of a bat in the black buttercream, and then I filled it in. Not too complicated, just a lot of lines in different lengths and different sizes. At least that's how I think of it when it's something that seems so complicated and difficult to draw. I did a couple more bats going around the sides of the cake in different sizes and moving at different angles. But I didn't want to do too many because, again, I didn't want to take away from the decoration that we had already done at the base of the cake. Now, using the same tip and the same buttercream, I piped these little twinkly stars and these little dots around the pumpkins at the base, just to kind of add that sort of whimsical magicalness that the month of October brings, or Halloween. I don't know, I just thought it looked really cool and it added to the overall look of the cake that I was going for. And piping these stars was really easy. I almost think of it like piping a pearl for a pearl border, but more flat, where I start with like the round part in the middle and then I make the little pointy ends go out to the sides. I don't know if that's a really good explanation, but I don't know how else to describe it except to say just draw it with buttercream. Now for the top of the cake, I wanted to write October to celebrate the beginning of the month. So I switched back to that Wilton number 3 tip, which is the slightly bigger but still small round tip, which I think is maybe the best for writing. And then I just wrote October on the top of the cake. If you're unsure about the sizing or piping with black buttercream on top of a cake scares you, you can always practice this before you actually do it on your cake. Because I actually did twice to make sure that I would get the sizing right. And for the final detail, I went back to the Wilton number 1 tip and I piped a couple more stars around the word October. And with that last little polka dot, the cake was finished! I hope you guys really enjoyed this tutorial. I love this cake and I love the month of October. And I'm excited to start all the fall baking. Leave a like if you're excited too, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!